And there's a countdown done. Hello, so this is a different video format for me. For those who know what this means, I'm taking my watch off and we're going to need an AVDW check. I've got the DVR turned on, so I see Aaron's in the chat room. Let me know if that checks out okay. So yeah, this is a little different because this is maybe just me talking, although the Zoom session is open. If somebody wants to join in and have face-to-face conversation, or you don't even have to turn your camera on if you don't want to and you just like to have a verbal conversation, the Zoom credentials are in the description below the video. You should be able to just scroll down. If you don't see it there, just do a refresh on your browser window and you should see the credentials and be able to click on them and join me for a conversation about Windows 11 and TPM. So taking a look over here at chat to see, I see Ada says that AVD is good. And from Blackwatch, happy Canada Day to all you damn Yankees. May our Blue Angels angles of the Royal Canadian Air Force give each of your houses of white 1 grand flyby of protection. Lord, you need it. And Aaron says AVD good. All right, awesome. So Windows 11 and TPM, I recorded a few videos this morning. I think it was 4 videos, might have been 5, on the subject of Windows 11 and TPM and the results of my research on the subject. I think before really getting into the detail of that, I'm going to go show what these computers are currently indicating as far as TPM. You may already be aware. I see Tony Wallow, hello, and Alan Barsness, hello. Oh, and for those of you who got into the live stream before the actual broadcast time, you saw the Google Earth with all the various different names of people that have participated, and I kind of like to do that with all of the regulars in the chat. So I'm going to invite you later on to put in the chat what your location is if you'd like to be part of that. You know what, I'll just go back. Well, now I'll show you again later. It's still running in the background. I can bring that image up at any time. And let's see, Jeff Ryman says hello, hi, and AVD OKJ here, Doug. Just kidding before, okay. And I'm seeing 13 viewers, and look at that. Some of you are 15 viewers, some of you already on the like button. So let's go over to computer number 2 and show you what it's looking like for TPM. So when I do Windows key R, tpm.msc, enter, we see here that this computer does have TPM 2.0. So can it do Windows 11? So the way that I go look at that is, let's see, I didn't even go look this up to be sure I've got the right path to it, but going into Windows Security, no, that's not what I want to do. Let's do Update Settings. I think that's where it was. Down here in the bottom left corner, Windows Insider Program. I'll click on that. And right here I get, your PC does not meet the minimum hardware requirements for Windows 11. Your channel options will be limited. Learn more. Join the Windows Insider program to get preview builds of Windows 10 and provide feedback to help make Windows better. When I click on Learn More, it takes me to a website that gives more information. And let's see, down here it tells what they're going to do for Windows 11. So if you're in the dev channel, if you're in the beta channel, if you're in the release preview channel. So if you have hardware that's meeting the requirements, you are eligible for Windows 11 Insider Preview builds as an optional upgrade at a later date. So even if you have qualified hardware, you may not get Windows 11 just by joining the Insider Preview. It may come to you at a later date. if your hardware does not meet the minimum requirements for the insider's program. Excuse me, I should read this closer. Windows 11 hardware requirement, not meeting Windows 11 hardware requirements, but meeting the minimum requirements for the Windows Insider program. Down here, all of this is in regards to Windows 11. Down here in the release preview, not applicable, not available for Windows 11 Presider. If you're in the beta channel, PCs will be moved to the release preview channel with an option to rejoin dev and beta channels. So if you're in the beta channel and you're not meeting the requirements, they're going to move you down to this channel. I mean, you can't get it. If you're in this channel, eligible for Windows 11 Insider Preview builds, warning, installation on PCs below Windows 11 hardware requirements can result in degraded performance. So if you don't meet the hardware requirements and you're on the dev channel, existing, already on the dev channel, they'll let you install it. Now, somewhere along here, there's verbiage that you can't just go join the Insiders program now and get into the dev channel. You have to have already been there. So there's a variety of different things here. We don't have to go through all of it. Let's come over here to my computer number 3. I'm going to minimize the YouTube window on that so we don't get that weird thing going on, and I'll bring the YouTube video back up on computer number 2. So on this computer, Windows key R, TPM.MSC, and there are other ways here, this camera now, there are other ways to check out your TPM qualification or not. So, and both of these computers that I've shown you are both these micro computers. Let's see, I've got one sitting over, you can't quite see that from there. I'll give you this camera. Yeah, these little cameras over here. There's this one, which is computer number 3, and I've got 2 more of these sitting on the floor over there. So coming back to here, so this one just doesn't have TPM, and it is an older, less capable than my computer number 2. So then come over to computer number 1, my streaming computer, and let's see, in order to show this, I've got to minimize my streaming software. There's that Google Earth thing going on. Oh, let's see, let's do this way. Hopefully that's still, I'm going to check over here and see, yeah, that's showing. So if I do Windows key R, TPM.MSC over here, here I have TPM cannot be found. And the thing that surprised me about this is when I go to update settings and check on whether I can get into the Insiders program, come down here to Windows Insiders program, and I was surprised to find this. This computer apparently is already in the Insiders program. I didn't even know that. To manage the Windows Insider program settings for your device and allow it to stay in the Insider program, you'll need to turn on optional diagnostic data. So somewhere along the line, I turned that off, and it has an option here to leave the Windows Insider program. So there's a whole bunch of nuances at this point. So let me get my screen back to where I want it there. So that's just a little bit of an introduction to where my computers are now. I've got this computer here that just came in. It's here for inventory, so I can have it on hand in case I want, in case a computer needs a client, in case a client needs a computer on short notice. And it certainly is capable of Windows 11, so I'd have to put it into the Insiders program. And there's no assurance that I'm going to get Windows 11 on it right away. Right? So if I have a computer that meets the requirements and I join the Insiders program, I'll be eligible for the Windows 11 Insider Preview as an optional upgrade at a later date. So I have no way of knowing how soon that is going to be. Do I really care? No, I don't. So we're going to get into some more points here about what I've learned about TPM. As I mentioned, I recorded 4 videos this morning about my research on TPM, and as the thumbnail for this video indicated, my attitude towards it has been softening. I started out with not happy camper with Microsoft as far as thinking that I have clients with recently purchased computers that aren't going to be able to upgrade to Windows 11. And eventually I came to realize, what am I thinking? When we had the upgrade from Windows 7 to Windows 10, of course Windows 8 was involved there too, but none of my clients had Windows 8. It was an upgrade from Windows 7 to Windows 10. And I think back to how it was back then. I did not want my clients' computers upgrading to Windows 10 because we weren't sure about how well it was going to get along with the other software that they already had. And I was uncomfortable with these forced updates and how that was going to go. I spent a lot of effort to prevent computers from upgrading automatically to Windows 10. And even sometimes when I discovered that they had automatically upgraded to Windows 10, I went and reverted that back to Windows 7. We did have some troubles with Windows 10 in the beginning, so that was legitimate. But the point is, none of my clients were asking for Windows 10 back there. They hardly had an awareness of it. I think the same thing's going to be true, Windows 10 to Windows 11. My clients aren't going to be aware of it, I don't think. So let me catch up on chat here and see what we've got going on. Got some hellos going on. AVD good. Canada saying hello. AVD. You're starting to do these about 2 hours late. Gary, hey Doug, you have to start doing these about 2 hours later. Oh, I think he's saying that from his work, it would be more convenient to do 2 hours later, and that's fine with me. 1 o'clock is kind of early to me. I kind of like to do 3 o'clock when I do this type of video. Some conversations back and forth between people. Who can Blackwatch to Jeff. All who can sign into YouTube have one. It's a prerequisite. Oh yes, that's a good point. Jeff was asking, do you have a YouTube channel? Yeah, if you have a YouTube account, if you have a Google account, you have a YouTube channel. Whether you put content on it or not is irrelevant. It exists. Christoph, sadly my 2 laptops are too old for Windows 11 that don't even have TPM 1.2, 7 and 10 years old. And by the time that Windows 10 is no longer supported, we're looking at October of 2025. If Microsoft doesn't extend support beyond that, they could. They've only promised that they will support at least one Windows 10 version up to October of 2025. They could go longer than that if they feel they need to. Windows 11 is not that bad. I absolutely agree. And I'm going to get into the reason why TPM is a good thing. Aaron says I had to enable TPM in BIOS. Actually, it was Intel PTT, which is, I think, the software implementation of it, or it's called PTT in BIOS for Intel. A lot of little variations and nuances there. And then Ada to Christoph, same here. My main desktop, 7 years old, no TPM. Only my two newest laptops have this. So, and Christoph, by 2025, I will have new machines for sure. So, I took a look at one of my clients, the CPA office that I report about on Tech Tales often, the CPA office Romeo. I've done several new computers in that office over the last 2 or 3 years, and I went back and looked. They are all Windows 11 TPM capable and qualified. So that was a relief that recently purchased computers. They were not all new computers. Some of those were refurbished computers, but they were okay. The Law Office Papa, I know I've got a lot of computers in there that are 6, 7, 8 years old, and I'm absolutely certain they will not be qualified. Well, by the time they have to go to Windows 11, that's more than 4 years away. It's not going to be a big deal for them to purchase new computers in that time period. So I'm gonna move away from the chat on this computer over here and bring up the two most significant things that I have found regarding TPM, and that is two videos published by Tech Savvy Productions. I really enjoy this gentleman's presentation, mannerisms, and style. He's really good. This is a 9-minute and 50-second video. A link to it is in the notes, in the description below this live stream video. And he gives a really good, easy to follow explanation of TPM, the history of it, what it does. It's far more than BitLocker drive encryption. That's just one piece of the puzzle. The explanation that he gives for it, I'm just almost salivating over this. We really, really need this. Not that it's going to do anything for the end user per se, but it appears to me to be a major step towards thwarting ransomware, ransomware, and black hat hackers who would attempt to hack into your computer. But the biggest deal that I'm seeing is ransomware protection. So there's this video. It's Trusted Platform Module Explained, and this was May 30th of 2019. That's more than 2 years ago that this video was made. And I can't say that I've done an exhaustive search of everything that's being published and videos that are being made, but I've looked at a lot of videos that are being made about Windows 11 and TPM and explanations given. I haven't found anything. I have not found anything that is this thorough and detailed and easy to grasp, and this is a 10-minute video. Then the follow-up video after this video, let's see, May 30th. When I click on this one, this was June 1st, 2019. So very close to the same presenter, same production stylings, easy to understand. And this is talking about TPM Trusted Platform Module and Windows 10 and how important it is to Windows 10. Well, as my understanding is, the major manufacturers have been including TPM as a physical chip on the computer since 2019, and it's not getting a lot of adoption. We're not very aware of it. A lot of computers don't have it enabled, and it's just really important. So this video is about 13.5 minutes long. So those are two major elements of my research results that I'm enthusiastic about. Then there's also, coming over here, TPM, where did it come from? We have Trusted Computing Group, this website, trustedcomputinggroup.org. This is who created this. This is where this comes from. There's 3 acronyms here, TCG for Trusted Computing Group, TPM is the module, and Trusted Computing Platform is another acronym. Now, when we come over here to this information, there's a Wikipedia that gives this information about Trusted Computing Group. And the core idea of trusted computing is to give hardware manufacturers control over what software does and does not run on a system by refusing to run unsigned software. Read between the lines. Ransomware cannot encrypt drives if the TPM doesn't allow it. Now, I haven't found that verbiage anywhere, but that's what I'm reading into this. I hope to all get out that I'm getting this right, and it seems to make a whole lot of sense to me. Now, when we come actually over here to their website, well, let me go to a new Trusted Computing Group. When you just do a Google search for that, click on their website here. So this is what the website looks like. You can find information about it here and who the members are. If I click on the membership tab and click membership here, it's going to give me stuff about joining and how much money it's going to cost. There's another place in here where we see actually who is members, but the thing that really gave me information was in here on the About page. Go into the About page and About TCG, and what I really enjoyed seeing is these documents here, particularly Backgrounder and Timeline. Okay, so I'm going to bring the chat back up and see what people are saying, and let me reiterate, the Zoom session is open. The Zoom credentials are in the description below the video. If you want to come on and talk about Windows 11 and TPM, or it doesn't have to be TPM, if you just want to talk about Windows 11, you can come on and join the Zoom session or just put in your comments in chat. So Zvi Manor is asking, do you know if I can enable TPM in the BIOS without the module? You go into your, there is a firmware-based TPM. So yes, but it could be a different acronym. And those two videos show where that is. They show a variety of ways with different BIOS where you can find the settings for enabling TPM, but it might not be called TPM, and the software version, FTPM, is one of the acronyms for it, and the F meaning firmware, so that it's a firmware TPM. So yes, you could if your computer's BIOS has that, and perhaps an upgrade to your computer BIOS will have that. Oh, here's an idea. Maybe these custom computer motherboards out there that don't have the TPM module or the socket for it, maybe they can get a firmware upgrade that will give them the FTPM capability. That might be a thing. Say PTT is Intel's TPM standard. Yeah. Yeah. I think that is clearly the case, because there are some other acronyms around this subject matter. And then oh, there's more popping up here. Hello, Doug. Intel Platform Trust Technology. So that is the PTT, or Intel Platform Trust Technology. Okay, that's. I think TPM was introduced with Intel Haswell 4000 series and newer, although only 8th generation and up should be supported. From Christoph, and then Denim Ra. I don't recall seeing your name before. Good to see you. Glad to meet you. Good to see you here. I have a Windows Insider account and a non-compliant with Windows 10 Dev, no TPM, no UEFI, Intel 6500. I have flawless updated to Windows 11 Dev by Windows Update. Interesting. Now, did you update using the leaked developer's copy, or did you upgrade to Windows 11 through the Insider's program? And I think that was one of the capabilities that are listed over here. Where was this? Okay, so yeah, somebody who's in the dev channel, which you said you are, and hardware not meeting minimum hardware requirements, not meeting the minimum hardware requirements for the Windows Insider program, and in the dev channel, limited oops, I didn't want to do that. I thought I was going to highlight that. Okay, here we go. Limited exception. PCs will be allowed to preview Windows 11 updates only via flighting until general availability. So only until general availability is what this is saying. PCs will then need to take action to go back to Windows 10 and will not be eligible for future Windows 11 preview builds. So what you're telling us here would be consistent with that, where you say you have an Windows Insider account, non-compliant Windows 10 developer PC, so that implies you're in the developers program. No TPM, no UEFI. So it looks like you are one of the exceptions. And my guess is that Microsoft wants to get some telemetry from computers that don't meet the requirements by allowing them to get Windows 11. Chris Carrot, TPM stands for toilet paper money. I missed that one. They're good explanation. Let's see, Z to Gary, computers that boils with gigabyte motherboard, for example. Computers that build with gigabyte motherboards. I think there's probably a typo there. Computer builds with gigabyte motherboard and whatever. Microsoft gave me a refund. They said my check was in the mail. 10 years later, I'm still waiting. Promises, promises. For those who don't know, Blackwatch's comments are usually along a humorous line. Gary says you do not need to encrypt your hard drive in Windows 11. Absolutely. The drive encryption and what we've been hearing about TPM that's an option for you to encrypt your drive. But the thing that I see really advantageous here is it appears that TPM will prevent the criminal entities on the internet from encrypting your drive without your approval or consent. Chris, to me, if you install Windows with TPM enabled and you connect your drive to another computer with a USB adapter through SATA, I heard you could not access the files. That is close. If you installed Windows with TPM enabled, just enabled, and you connect your drive to another computer with a USB adapter, I think you can access the files. The key is that TPM enabled gives you the ability to encrypt the drive if you choose to. If you don't encrypt the drive, then you should still be able to take that drive to another computer and access the files that are on your drive. That's only my deduction and speculation. It's possible that that's wrong because TPM, Trusted Platform Module, is all about hardware being trusted. The computer trusting the hard drive trusting the computer. So if there's capability built into that you only have to have TPM enabled to then not be able to remove the drive and access from another computer, that would be news to me. Now, I can test that because I have computer installations now that have TPM. All I need to do is go check to be sure they're enabled, then pull the drive out of that computer, connect to another computer, see if I can access it. But I'm pretty sure you can until you actually do drive encryption. Gary says, Doug, TPM has been enabled in servers since back in 1.2. That makes total sense. Now, when you say in servers, that would be referring to true Microsoft Server operating systems, as opposed to, I have some computers out there that I call them servers. They're peer-to-peer servers, Windows 10. No, they don't have TPM even existing on the computers. And the environment that Gary works in, I know that he's got true, probably enterprise-grade servers. Z-Manner to Gary, but can I enable TPM in BIOS without the module? I think, again, you can if you have firmware TPM in your UEFI BIOS. And Gary says, depending on the CPU. Agreed. Jeff, if Windows 10 is running without TPM and secure boot enabled, will enabling those mess with your current installation? Okay, so let me consider that closer. If Windows 10 is running without TPM and secure boot enabled, so he's saying without either of those enabled, and then if you enable those, will those mess up your current installation? I'm pretty sure the answer to that is no. It won't mess up your current installation. The thing that will mess up a current installation is, for instance, if you switch from legacy BIOS mode to UEFI BIOS mode, that can mess you up. If you have drive encryption enabled and then you turn TPM off, that would mess things up. But and I have to say that I'm only deducing this from the level of understanding I have about TPM and secure boot, and maybe someone else has given a more definitive answer to that. And then Gary says FTPM equals AMD. So my understanding, and those two videos give some information about that, is some AMD motherboards and CPUs have FTPM built into the CPU, not just the BIOS, but the CPU. And that's a software TPM. And I don't think it's right for me to call that firmware, because firmware is on a BIOS chip. So AMD, and I think it is just AMD chips that have TPM built into CPU chip on some of the CPUs. Chris says scammers are going to love Windows 11. So here we're distinguishing between scammers and ransomware. Two very different criminal endeavors. And scammers that I've seen so far, and I'm a very close follower of Jim Browning. I don't watch a lot of the other scam baiters, but I applaud and admire their work. But we do see enough evidence of their scamming evidence to know that the people that are operating these scams, the ones that are actually on the phone with the potential victim, they're not very computer competent. When I see the things that they do to try to convince somebody that their computer is infected, I think, oh, I could do a much better job than they're doing. Scammers are going to love Windows 11. Now, I'm trying to think of where does that come from. Basically, I'm seeing that scammers running their operations with victims is going to be pretty similar to what they do now. I don't really see much of an advantage or a difficulty for scammers added, because that's all about sending emails to people or getting messages to pop up on their screen with a phone number to call. You call the number, and then the scammer starts running their scam, trying to get the end user to allow them to connect remotely. Once they connect remotely, that's kind of the keys to the kingdom. Gary, Windows 11 will still use BitLocker as it is today, which uses TPM 2.0. Yeah, that certainly. You don't have to encrypt your drive, but BitLocker is the encryption software that's going to make that happen. Wintermute to Jeff. Hello, Wintermute. I don't think I've come across your name yet in chat. To Jeff, TPM won't mess with anything. Secure boot might not work if you're not on a UEFI boot with GPT drive. I agree with that. Won't mess anything up. Turn off secure boot, and it will boot as before. So that's in response to Jeff's earlier question, I think, about turning that on. Will it mess up your current installation? And Wintermute there agreeing, no, it won't. Gary, and servers, boxes, 20,000 to 50,000. I'm sure that's added on to something he said previously, and I believe that what he's telling us there is that he's got 20,000 to 50,000 servers in his company. You still have to manage TPM. Okay, you still have to manage TPM. Managing TPM. What does it mean to manage Trusted Platform Module? You have to enable it. If it's not already enabled, I suppose. You have to choose whether or not you're going to use BitLocker, I suppose. I'm not sure what manage TPM means. Can you give a little more clues on that, Gary? William Dawson, yes, you can enable TPM. Depends on your BIOS. Watch for people who would charge you or scam you. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Scammers contacting people. I can help you get Windows 11 on your computer. And this is free help. Call me. I'll connect remotely to your computer and I'll fix it so your computer can run Windows 11, even if it cannot. The scammers just want to get a remote connection to the computer. Then they're going to do their evil deeds. Yeah, that's a new scam. Jeff, to Wintermute. I have UEFI and use GPT on my SSD. Certainly. What is that in response to? That's in response to Wintermute saying secure boot might not work if you're not on a UEFI boot with GPT drive. I think that's probably the case. And Jeff is replying to that, saying I have UEFI and use GPT on my SSD. Well, that's in total agreement with Wintermute. So I'm not quite sure what that conversation is. Gary says firmware equals BIOS, CPU equals hardware level TPM. Well, yeah, but there's another element because TPM, there is a separate chip that is installed on motherboards, can be soldered in, can be socketed in. If you have a custom motherboard that can have a socket for plugging in the TPM module, TPM can be built into the CPU. But from those two videos that I referred to, and there's links to them in the description below, it's pretty clear that when you have that separate TPM module as a chip on your motherboard, it appears that that is a higher level of security than having TPM capabilities built into the CPU. Now, of course, my understanding is still new on this. And the firmware in the BIOS, yes, I believe that when they talk about firmware TPM, my understanding is that is contained within the UEFI BIOS code. That can be updated. So maybe there's UEFI BIOSes out there on some of these custom motherboards that can be upgraded later. It might not be available yet because that's one of the complaints that some of the gamer and custom computers have now is their motherboard doesn't have a TPM chip, doesn't have a slot for it. What am I to do? And it's a fairly recent motherboard. Possibly those motherboard manufacturers are going to update their UEFI BIOS to include the firmware TPM capability. Could happen. Blackwatch. So you have 4 partitions to my 2. It makes no significant differences really to Jeff. You have 4 partitions to my 2. It makes no significant difference. Now, a lot about Blackwatch's humor, so I'm not sure what that is, what the conversation is between those two. Dan the Man, hello. Good to see you. FTPM, firmware-based trusted platform module. A separate chip is not required. Absolutely agreed. And I've said that a few times, so I won't repeat that again now. Gary says dollars. Is he clarifying a typo on a previous server boxes, 20,000 to 50,000. So maybe he's saying his server computers cost $20,000 to $50,000 each. Yeah, they can. Absolutely, they can cost that much. And in his environment, I'm sure that is totally just a normal budget line item. Okay, where did I lose myself? Dollars. Okay, Gary, turn on BitLocker. And maybe assuming that he's encouraging us to do that. Now, I'm kind of thinking that I may wind up really becoming convinced of BitLocker, particularly on laptops. And the reason why I've been saying that I don't want BitLocker encryption on my client computers is I've been saying, because if something gets damaged about the operating system, I can take the hard drive out, connect it to another computer, and access the files. If I'm wanting to do that, then I have dropped the ball, seriously, right? What am I relying on being able to access the files on that hard drive? Where's the backups? And in truth, I haven't done that for a long time. And in truth, I don't know that I have any computers out there that I'm going to need to access the files from a hard drive that goes bad. The only time now that I think that's going to happen is when I have a private individual contact me, or maybe an office that's not my client, so I haven't been in control of it. They have a damaged operating system and they don't have backups, and we need to get to those files. But for my clients, I'm kind of interested in BitLocker drive encryption. Now, so that means, for instance, a laptop gets stolen, it's encrypted. The thief isn't going to be able to access the files on that computer because they're not going to know the login password. They can take the hard drive out of that computer, connect it to another computer. They're not going to get to access the files. But if they steal a computer that's not BitLocker encrypted and they're not able to log in to Windows on that computer, they can just take the drive out, connect it to another computer, and access the files. That would be a problem. They could break into an office, steal the computers from the office, try to start up the computer, can't log into Windows because they don't have the password, and then take the drive out, connect it to another computer. They can access the files if it's not encrypted. I really think I'm probably going to be softening on, it could be a few years from now, I'm going to routinely encrypt workstation drives. Watch out for Winston, Doug. He can parlez-vous français? Okay. Winston. Who's Winston? I started reading that, and right away I recognized that has to be Blackwatch. I didn't look yet who it was. Gary, enable in BIOS. Make sure it's a Windows device, then turn on Windows Manager, then turn on core isolation and all other options. So he's saying enable TPM in BIOS. Make sure it's a Windows device as opposed to Linux or Apple, I guess. Then turn on Windows Manager. So Windows Manager apparently is something else to turn on within the BIOS. Then turn on core isolation and all other options. Okay, so I'm going to do a Control-C to copy that, because there's a lot in there I don't understand. Switch back to my browser. I have a document open over here that's in my Google Drive folder that I've already shared to the people who follow my videos, so you already know how to get to that. And I'm also going to say that this comes from Gary in case I want to come back later and ask you about that. So that's in this document. Come back to chat from Gary, not on current Intel CPUs. Oh, okay, so those choices aren't on current Intel CPUs. On current Intel CPUs, if you will not gain any performance gain in using the module, you will not need it. On current Intel CPUs, if you will not gain any performance gain in using the module, you will not need to use it. I'm struggling on that. The values where base cost of servers. He's making reference to his expensive servers. Mike Peridin, hello. Hi, Mike. Good to see you. Catherine Anna Hauserman shown up. Hello. William Dawson, I wonder if someone could make a TPM fit in a PCIe socket. I highly doubt that. The videos that I made reference to, there's links in the description below. It's to this video and this video. The content in there makes it seem highly unlikely. Now, the presenter in those videos did make reference to PCIe. Was it for TPM? Yeah, I'm not sure. But that'll be an interesting development. There could be lots more developments that come along. There could be changes from Microsoft about what's required, what's not required. In my mind, the other videos that I made this morning, the 4 videos not published yet, I'll probably publish them separately, all as a group on one day. That really gives the message about why I think TPM and Microsoft's decision to enforce TPM on us is because it is, I think, a major strike back at ransomware. I really think that's all what it's about. And I think also, and you'll see in the presentation of those videos, why I think Microsoft decided at this time in history to go from Windows 10 to Windows 11. It's not, I think it's got nothing to do with these feature updates. These feature updates that we see, pretty background and the redesign of the taskbar and all that other stuff, is just lipstick, just prettiness to make it more palatable, to push us to these better, more secure computers. And the whole motivation behind it is to get secured against ransomware. That is our major, huge threat, causing problems so far. The problems we've encountered with ransomware, multiple millions, billions, I think, not billions, but hundreds of millions of dollars in ransoms. I think that is a minor cost compared to what this could become. And I have that outlined in the other videos. I think for now I'm going to leave it to those videos. Gary, backup. Yeah, backups, and imagine what could go wrong with your backups. Now, one of the things with ransomware, can't we just go along with ransomware and just do a better job of backups? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. All right, I'm going to go ahead and go into the next level of ransomware and unauthorized encryption of files is what happens when it gets in the hands of terrorists. They're not financially motivated. They get in there and encrypt files, and they're not even interested in a ransom payment. They're not even participating in the dark web infrastructure that allows unencryption keys to be given to encryption victims, because they're only after creating terror. They do not have the moral standing that ransomware perpetrators have. To refer to ransomware perpetrators of having a sense of morals, they have actually, the ransomware commercial providers of encryption software on the dark web, they have actually told their affiliate customers who send out the encryption infections to computers and demand the ransom, they've told them, you're not allowed to do this on these computers, these services, public services. Basically, they're saying it's not allowed to do this in a terrorist fashion or in a fashion that is going to cause serious harm and injury to people. The terrorists aren't going to have that level of moral ethics. Those are the people that put in a huge organized effort to crash airliners into buildings. When they get actively involved with, it's not ransomware, it's unauthorized encryption of major services, Backups aren't going to help us. They will help somewhat, but when you encrypt an organization, when you encrypt the computer operations for 911 emergency services, for ambulances, for the control systems that operate hospital equipment, providing life support, when you infect the computer systems on board airliners, that when a pilot controls the yoke, there is no physical connection between the yoke and the control services. Those are control inputs to a computer. The computer sends out the instruction to the control surfaces. Those could easily be reversed so that when a pilot puts in a left or a pull back, the opposite controls are sent out to the airplane. The air traffic controllers, the law enforcement, FBI computers. If terrorists get their fingers in a significant way into this encrypting capability, they bring those systems down until they can be restored. The problem with backups is it takes time to restore. Yeah, you can have the backups. Yeah, you can be perfectly protected against if your systems get encrypted, you can recover from it, but it takes time. The terrorists, they're going to go after entities where that time is just something we can't afford. Coming back here to chat. Why buy hardware if it's possible to rent it? Okay, that's Blackwatch. Hi, you little. Okay, so hello from Blackwatch to Catherine. Winston, let's see. Winston, L.U. Doug New here. Okay, I don't know. Live Windows, okay, it's directly to me. You're saying this to me. Winston, L.U. Doug New here. I don't know what you're saying. Catherine says hello. Darren says hello. Hi, Darren. Cloud is not that cheap. From Gary. You get charged per transaction to the cloud and back. I have multiple petabyte storage and not just updates. I have 33,000 IP addresses in use. So yeah, cloud computing, cloud backups, they can be incredibly expensive. Now with Magnus Box, I always point to that over here because I got their sticker over here on my Mac. It's pretty inexpensive, but at Gary's level, it just won't be qualified. If you're doing backups or cloud computing, I set up a not Amazon backup, Microsoft Azure. I did an Azure backup subscription for my CPU client. You've heard me refer to them, the CPU client Romeo. I set up Azure backup with him. The first month was something like $35. The next month was like $55. The next month was like $60, $70. And the next month was $80. We got it to $85. And it was clear that it was just going to continue growing because I had set up a fairly normal type of backup operation. And it was just growing way too much. When I realized that growth and how Microsoft Azure does its charges, it was insane. So this is Gary saying that cloud's not that cheap. So Gary to Blackwatch, updates to the cloud. Gary, enable TPM and BIOS. Make sure it's a Windows device. Then turn on Windows TPM Manager. Then turn on core isolation and all other options or any other TPM options. Now, Gary had previously in chat said that you have to manage TPM, and I said I didn't know what that was about. So I think here he's giving me more detail about that. Control-C to copy and come back over to that document and paste that as additional information. And then bring chat back up. Gary, ransomware may be on your machine for hours or days or months before it is set up. So when you use backup, it will kick off again and again and so forth. Yeah. Good point. Awesome point. Boy, why hasn't that been talked about more? I hear people criticizing victims of ransomware, saying they didn't have adequate backups. They must not have had adequate backups. And that's not always the case at all. And sometimes the ransomware is just saying, fine, here, we'll give you the encryption key, but you're still going to pay us a ransom, because if you don't, we've already exfiltrated your data. We have copies of it. We're going to publish it on the internet, and that's going to be a big problem for you because you're in FINRA or HIPAA, or you have personally identifiable information. We're going to publish all this information. We've got your private secret emails of confidential private information, your research and development stuff. We're going to publish it on the internet. So there's lots of ways that the ransomware operators convince victims to pay ransoms, even if it's not about the encryption. And for that matter, the ransomware operators, they might get to the point where they don't even bother encrypting the data. They just show evidence that, hey, we've got a copy of your data and we're going to publish it if you don't pay us. So that's another thing. So can this TPM module and other elements, keep in mind, let's see, did I have this over here? Yeah, keep in mind that this TPM, routers, aerospace storage switches, VPN. So these TPM is not just for security for a computer. It's providing security elsewhere. Can this prevent the ransomware actors from exfiltrating data? That would be a really important thing too. Blackwatch, only my tartan is off the black and I don't own any hats. I'm not even going to try to figure out the comedy in that. Gary, your car brakes in 2021 are controlled by electronics. Absolutely. The brakes, probably, I wouldn't be surprised if the steering is controlled by electronics. The same thing that I said about terrorists infecting controls of airplanes. How about your car? How would you react if you start going around a corner and suddenly the controls are reversed on your steering wheel? As you're turning it left, it's turning right, going closer and closer to the edge? How quickly are you going to realize that a terrorist has reversed the controls on your car and you turn the wheel to the right, even though there's a cliff there or other traffic or whatever? Are you going to have the presence of mind to try doing that? No, what you're going to do is you're going to turn more to the left, trying to get the car to go the way you want. It's going to go off to the right. Now, we have seen ransomware actors infect the software of managed service providers and use that to access the clients of managed service providers. These are computer support people like me, but on a much larger scale, where they use specialized software for monitoring and managing automatically their clients' computers. So they use that to get through to the end client's computers and infect them. So what if the terrorist actors get into the supply chain of the software firmware updates that go out to automobiles, such as Teslas and other cars that get periodic firmware updates? What if there is supply chain infections in there where the terrorists, when they choose to, can flip a switch and get all these cars to misbehave? Now, those TPMs are already in automobiles. Well, this says over here, automotive. So I think it was clarified in these videos that the automotive industry already have that trusted platform module to be able to prevent unauthorized actors from adversely affecting the software. And then also The TPM module during the startup of any device has the capability of validating all the various components that are in the operating system to validate that they haven't been changed and that they are still at their original state. Now, I can imagine still a scenario that a supply chain infection could still get through that. But the people at the top levels of the software and hardware that we deal with, they need to be taking every action they can to fight against the bad actors out there. And I think TPM and the requirement for TPM in Windows 11, I think that's a strong driving force behind this requirement. Car control units can become infected too. Absolutely. Bill Etherland. Hello, Bill. I think this is the first time I've noticed your name. Good to see you. Welcome aboard. I'm seeing 28 concurrent viewers. He says, good evening, everyone. Great listening tonight. Thank you. Glad to have you here. Doug. Okay, so Blackwatch. He's explaining to me. Doug, I meant WindStun LU. WindStun LU may come here from Kerry's channel. He speaks French well. JK at the end, just kidding. SMH. Boy, I recognize that acronym. I can't see what it is. So he's saying a viewer may come over. Okay, great. Welcome. Why do I care that he speaks French? I think that's still humor from Blackwatch. From Jeff, I just rebooted into the BIOS to check. I have UEFI and secure boot, but no TPM. Okay. I guess I will convert to Linux on this PC when Windows 10 expires. I have a new build for Windows use. Okay, great. And TPM is also, I think those two videos talk about Linux, TPM impact on Linux, and I think it's significant importance to Linux as well. Did I catch everything in there that I need to? He has UEFI and secure boot, but no TPM. Okay, that makes sense. That is a thing. Backups only copy the current data on your hard drive, so you're copying the very code you're trying to clear. Yes. Now, I had a client. My first discovery of ransomware was my client got hit with ransomware. Their servers got encrypted. I didn't even know ransomware was a thing when they got hit. They got hit fairly early in this whole ransomware thing. At that time, we were doing rotating external drive backups. No cloud backup. That wasn't a thing back then. And the office staff was responsible for rotating the drives. They had dropped the ball. They did not have the drives properly rotated, which meant as I went through all of the drives that we had, as I was going back to the prior drives, I found drives that had previously been swapped out. Let me get this right. I was about to say that wrong. The drives that were currently attached to the computer had multiple generations of backups. They had all been encrypted. But it had been 2 or 3 weeks since the drives had been swapped out. So 2 or 3 weeks of data we lost. The other drives that had been separated, they were not encrypted. So I was able to restore from those. So it's a local restore operation. So it didn't take as long as a cloud backup would. Restoring from cloud takes a lot longer than restoring from a local drive. So I do cloud backups and I do local external drive backups and swapping and offsite. The internal staff had dropped the ball on doing that. So we lost a couple weeks worth. And I didn't even know about ransomware at that time. We did not pay the ransom. The ransom was, I don't know, $800, something like that. Not bad. Not bad. We were able to piecemeal some of the lost data together, and took some time, but we recovered. So the point here on this comment, backups only copy the current data on your hard drive, so you're copying the very code you're trying to clear. Yeah. Chris to Jeff, how old is the computer make model? Catherine, here is where right to repair comes in. Oh, that's an interesting comment. You know what? I should be able to, where do I want to zoom this in? This is chat. How about, did I already try? Oh, there we go. That's better. But I lost my place. Backups, there it is. Right to repair comes in. So right to repair, trying to remember his name, the guy in New York that's really pushing this, the cell phone repair. Not thinking of his name right now. But right to repair, it's a big deal in the cell phone repair thing because Apple prevents you from being able to buy replacement parts. So here's where right to repair comes in. Related to Windows 10, 11 and TPM. Yeah, I'm not sure how that relates. Maybe she clarifies later. Or maybe that's a conversation between people. Chris to Jeff, you may be able to get a module. Jeff to Chris, about 6-year-old, runs well, no motherboard option for module. I have Linux. Sysadmin experience in engineering software I use also runs Linux. Held as your PC. Ada, in theory, they can get into the car's brakes or computers, but how they're going to make the connection? Or do you mean newest cars with internet connectivity? Yeah, they have Wi-Fi connectivity. The car, not Wi-Fi connectivity, satellite connectivity. They can connect through cell phone signals that are subscribed to by the car manufacturer. Cars that have that system where you can call emergency services or actually make phone calls through your car. You have to pay a subscription for that. But if you don't pay the subscription for that, the manufacturer of the car can use their own subscription just for uploading firmware updates to the car, even though you haven't authorized your car to be connected to cell towers for your own purposes. Now, that is a capability that has been in airplanes for a long time. There was an airline crash in a foreign country that was attributed to, how was it? There was some kind of communication that the aircraft manufacturer had with the airplane, even though the airline did not maintain the support subscription. So the support subscription from the airline would have provided more information to the aircraft manufacturer, but the aircraft manufacturer still had a limited amount of information from the airplane. And I'm sorry I can't give a lot of detail about that. I certainly didn't have that conversation prepared. Let's see. Conversation between people, AMD or Intel. Chris says Winston Liu, pronounced Winston Liu. Oh, gotcha. Okay. And I guess that's somebody that may be coming into chat or maybe sending me an email or something. I'll be watching for that. Let's see, here's more conversations between people in chat. I believe the person wants to do something, they will find a way, even others think it cannot be done. Yeah, absolutely. And that is just a reason to take every protection level that we can. Hellos. Wow. Christian Andreas, Andre, I'm going to say that's Andre Ramos. Best channel ever? Stunning comment. Thank you. Chris Garrett, to Jeff, I just pulled your model up on HP website. Gary, you have to back up vertical software and the data. Vertical software, for any of those who might not be aware of it, would be industry-specific software. Like I have clients who has vertical market software that's specific to attorneys, or specific to CPAs, or specific to medical offices. And that, you have to back up the software and the data. So in my experiences with the vertical market software that I support, some of it stores data locally, and I use the instructions and the advice from the software manufacturer for how to back that up. Like the chiropractor's office that I often report about, that software has a specific process for backing up their software and what files. So we do that. It gets backed up to a local external drive that gets swapped out offsite and cloud backup. So that, and that is a SQL software. So you can't just do a basic normal backup software with that. You have to be backing it up correctly because it's a SQL database. And then others of my vertical market software are cloud services. So the vendor takes care of the backups. It's on their computers. I can't back it up if I wanted to. Ada to William, totally agree with that. Someone with enough desire time will crack anything. Nothing is guaranteed. Louis Rossman, yes. Louis, he's a character. He is. I've been watching him for a long time. I have done, and the I'm gonna not think of her name too. The other cell phone repair, iPhone repair clinic medic. What does she call herself? iPhone rehab. iPhone rehab, iPad rehab, something like that. I can't think of her name right now either, but I totally enjoy both of those channels. Haven't watched them for a long time because I'm focused on producing this channel and keeping my mind where it needs to be for my computer stuff. But I've done cell phone repairs. I've taken cell phones apart, and I have a heat gun. I bought a heat gun because my daughter's cell phone, the camera is damaged. I have the replacement lens for her Android cell phone, and you have to use a heat gun to open it up. I'm kind of eager to do that, but I have to get that cell phone away from her for several hours so that I can work on it in a relaxed environment and not feel rushed. iPad Rehab. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. iPad Rehab. Those two channels and Carrie Holzman's channel. Were there any others? I think it's really those three. And Mike Smith's videos, because of his tells about his real world work. But those channels all combined helped me structure the way I wanted to do my channel and make me realize that you can do live video production and not have to do all of the video editing stuff. I've done a lot of video editing. That's why I bought the iMac. I've done a lot of video, all my airplane activities. I had 6 GoPro cameras mounted on my airplane, Cessna 172. And we would take kids for their first airplane flights. I did things with flight instructors to demonstrate things, and I made videos with that. Enjoyed the heck out of it. Never really did anything with it as far as a YouTube channel. So I do know how to do video editing, and I kind of enjoy it, but it puts a lot of time for producing a single video. Gary says Wi-Fi Bluetooth. I think that's in response to how the culprits get to the cars. Wi-Fi Bluetooth. So in your car, you can have a Bluetooth connection between your phone and your car. That's easy. But I think the software upgrades would have to come through cell phone reception. How are they going to connect to a Wi-Fi? Because they'd have to connect, put in the Wi-Fi SSID and the access code. I might be missing who he's responding to. Apple needs some of its branches pruned, in my opinion. For those who doubted when I began this, when I said that Blackwatch's comments are mostly humor and jokes, maybe you're getting the idea that that is the case. William says OnStar would be one way. Yeah, well, OnStar, well, now wait a minute. OnStar, that isn't that the name of Elon Musk's satellites to provide internet connectivity? So the only reason that would be needed is to be able to connect to cars and other devices that are not in cell tower range. Ada Rivera, our Treasury Department paid $350,000 to get its main system unencrypted and taxpayers' data not spread. That was January 2018. We received scammer calls constantly. I receive scammer calls constantly. Pop-ups come up on computers. You know what? Those cut down a lot. A year ago, maybe 2 years, it was a lot more frequent. That seems to have tightened down a lot since we have HTTPS being required and certificates of authority being required on websites and website hosting services, and more patches being issued. All of the websites out there that use, what's that really common website? All right, right here. There we go. There we go. Point. My cell phone is telling me that this is a scammer. I know that doesn't focus very well because I have the automatic focus turned off. Call filter ID, unknown name. Now, many of the calls that come through are blocked by my phone. It doesn't even ring. It doesn't even display. It just gives me a message later, blocked call. Some of the scam calls that come through just have a name in all caps and a phone number. I don't answer them. And they're always scam calls. I get a ton of them because my phone number is out in the world a lot, I suppose. But there's also the robocallers that just call phone numbers at random. So Ada's comment, the Treasury Department, $350,000? Really? Is that all? That seems like a tiny amount of money for them to be required to be paid. Although that was 2018. The ransomware operators weren't as aggressive back then. To get its main system unencrypted and taxpayers' data not spread. We receive scammer calls constantly. Yeah, I do not answer calls unless it comes up on caller ID as somebody that I know. I do not answer it. Chris, oh no, my mother has that in her car, Nissan Rogue. I accidentally hit it once. I think Chris means accidentally hit the OnStar, whatever name was referred to recently. But I think the auto manufacturers have been using this TPM for a while. I think they're probably much better along in their protection than we are as computer users. Gary, I get messages now saying your tire is low on my vet. Messages. So I think Gary, you're actually telling us you get messages on your cell phone that tells you your tire is low on your Corvette. I completely believe it. Absolutely. Gary, why would you prune Apple Music? I think that was in response to Blackwatch. Gary, and custom changes to vertical market software. Custom changes to vertical market software. And custom changes. Why would you prune Apple Music and custom changes to vertical market software? Or is that's at 2:10 p.m., so that must be on the same topic. Oh, maybe he's getting notifications of changes to vertical market software. Yeah, okay, I'm a little bit lost on that, I guess. Blackwatch, let me guess, ZR1, right. Do you also know David Hale as well? To Gary. I know David Hale based on his appearances on Kerry Holzman's channel, and I watched many of David Hale's videos and the time where he went up to, was it Alaska, I'm presuming, and did performance driving on ice. Amazing. And he's got, at that time he had 2 huge hangars of these awesome collector cars, and I think one of his latest video or later videos that I saw, I haven't seen his videos for quite a while, I think he bought a 3rd hangar or acquired a 3rd hangar. He has an amazing car collection, really nice guy. I really would he did a one-on-one interview with Kerry, and that got me onto his channel. Really enjoyed his channel. He did some kind of life lessons type of thing and telling about his experiences with growing his business and selling it. Really enjoyable person. Catherine Lewis is a character. I totally agree. Jessa, yeah, Jessa is from iPad Rehab. Jessa Jones. Totally love her work and her show and what she does and how she makes work on phones and iPads so accessible to anyone who has the notion to venture into that. And both Jessa and Lewis, their devotion to keeping those devices available for people to be able to repair their own devices. And that's the whole thing behind the right to repair legislation. They're trying to get it passed all around the country, having extreme troubles with it, and an amazing resistance to it was the manufacturers of farm equipment. The big combines and stuff, they are all computer operated. And the manufacturers prevent and restrict the owners of those equipments from repairing their own equipment. And if an equipment goes bad, too bad. It's stuck in your field, too bad. You have to transport it to an authorized factory facility. Oh, that's 3 states away, too bad. Tough bananas. You cannot work on it yourself. So a lot of the farm equipment owners are in league with Lewis in trying to get these legislation passed, and the Apple and the farm equipment manufacturers, and there's some others, send in their high-priced attorneys trying to convince the politicians to not pass it, and they really are. It's a losing battle. Lewis and his efforts, they're really struggling to bring sensible arguments to the politicians to overcome the slick language of the attorneys. My heart goes out to them. I really hope they can make some positive inroads on that. So those channels, if you're interested in checking them out, is iPad Rehab. If somebody wants to put links to their channels in the chat, please go ahead. Many of you have that capability. That's the only reason why you have the wrench and you're in blue, is to be able to put relevant links. So links to Lewis's channel or iPad Rehab, I welcome you to put those in. Even though it's off topic of Windows 11 and TPM. I'm not giving the live feed. There's where the live feed is for chat. Gary the Blackwatch, my wife got mad that I got it, so she got C8. I'm going to guess that might be a Cadillac model. I don't know. I don't know that environment so well. So his wife got mad that he got the Corvette, I suppose. Chris, maybe manufacturers can release a BIOS update for systems made after 2015 that don't have TPM. Oh, for systems that don't have TPM, maybe manufacturers can release a BIOS update. Maybe systems with UEFI and Secure Boot. My HP Elite got Secure Boot with a BIOS update. I think it's totally believable that hardware manufacturers might be able to issue UEFI BIOS updates that provide the software, firmware, TPM capability so that they can do Windows 11. Now, those computers might not meet the current CPU requirements, but maybe Microsoft will soften, on the CPU requirements. I don't know the rationale behind the specific CPUs they're currently requiring, but that is a total possibility. We've got over 4 years that things, and we're just in the very early infancy of this experience. So yeah, there's a lot that could happen. Gary said, oh, I said that already. William, impossible to get the phone from her when she's, impossible to get the phone from her, try when she sleeps. That's got to be in response to something else. I won't try to figure that one out. Catherine, you can watch TCRS Circuit 2. Tim is great. I wouldn't be surprised if I might be already subscribed, but I don't recognize the channel name of TCR Circuit. So I'm going to Control-C, copy that over to, where is that document so I can look at that later. And then bring this back. I also want to make a note that that's from Catherine, so I'm also going to copy the timestamp and Catherine's name. I will check into that. Blackwatch. So there was a method to her madness, and you fell for it, to Gary. Chris, to me, hey, if you have a Sirius XM, Sirius, I think, XM, they can send a signal without being through cell, maybe through GPS manufacturers, they can send through GPS. Yeah, they may be sending through satellite communications because the cost of a one-way satellite communication to a device, I think, is less than actual phone conversations, because that's two-way through satellite. And I think the Sirius is a satellite service. So even when you're driving around the mountains, you can still get your Sirius music, because it's a one-way transmission from the satellite, I think. So they can send, just saying that that capability is there. Gary to Blackwatch, we have a home business. Wait a minute. Gary to Blackwatch, we have a home business. Gary, your huge company is a home business? What? Maybe you have a separate home business. I had the impression you work in a pretty large corporate environment and are at a high level in that company. Chris, my 2013 Dodge Ram has Sirius XM and they can send a signal. Yes, Chris, to me, you should have answered and messed with them. Oh, this one right here. You know, I had thought about that. If I got a scammer call during a live stream, would I answer it and mess with them? One of my responses on that is I really admire the work of Jim Browning and him letting the scammer connect to their computer. I am not competent or even set up to do virtual computers, so I am not going to let them connect to a computer. And when Jim Browning and the other scam baiters actually answer phone calls, they're doing that on burner phones. They're not doing that on their real cell phone. This is my real cell phone. Clients call me, family calls me. It's a phone number that I've had for decades. I don't want to get on their radar as somebody who will answer a phone call. So, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. William, no, OnStar is OnStar is a service that allows you to have them unlock your doors and do other things like call for help if your car breaks down. So that OnStar service, in order to be able to do that reliably anywhere that you're at, I think that's likely going to be satellite signals, or maybe they do satellite and cell phone towers, because you know the satellite signals, if you're underground, if you're in a parking garage, they're not going to be able to get to your car with a satellite signal, but they could get to your car with a cellular signal. So maybe they have both capabilities. Chris says they call about warranty on my Dodge. How do they know I own a Dodge? That's easy. Oh, there is so much content on the dark web of who has what. All they would have had to do was compromise computers that has a database of Dodge, Chrysler Dodge warranties. So that would be with an insurance company, that would be with a service provider, that would be with some corner repair shop. They have a computer that has access to warranty information. They compromise that computer. They could exfiltrate that data so easily from any number of computers and get contact information about people who own a Dodge. DMV registration database, insurance records. Yeah, that's not baffling at all how they know that. Gary, Linux can get virus. The only reason it does not happen more is not as many seats implemented. Absolutely. And people who operate Linux computers are typically more computer capable, more technically aware. So the culprits, when they are designing their scams or their ransomware, they want to go after the big targets. They want to go after the targets who don't know how to protect themselves so well. I firmly believe if a black hat hacker set their sights on infiltrating a particular Linux user, it's probably not that hard to do. And I think it only happens because Linux users, I don't think, are that big of a target. Now, the Linux web servers that businesses might host in their own office, or a private person might host a web server or a database on their own Linux machine, that is really scary to me, because as far as I know, the things such as HackerOne and the bounties that are offered by companies saying, try to hack our software if you find a vulnerability and you're abiding by our guidelines for white hat hackers, we will pay you money to give us information on that vulnerability. I'm not aware, and I might be wrong about this, I invite you to correct me in the chat, I'm not aware that there is much money available to white hat hackers, penetration testers, to try to penetrate Linux computers. So how much security vulnerabilities could there be in Linux computers that we don't know about because people are not being paid to try to penetrate them? I'd like to hear back from some of you, because I know some of you know the Linux world, and you might know that yes, there is substantial bounties available for people penetration testing and finding vulnerabilities in Linux. There are so many different implementations and so many different distributions of Linux. How could they possibly be adequately testing them for security vulnerabilities. Wintermute, Musk thing is Starlink. Okay, so Elon Musk is called Starlink, not that other name that I saw earlier. Satellite Internet Network. I hope that works out. I think he's got a lot of satellites up there already and launching more all the time. He wants to be able to provide internet connectivity through the satellites, which means your cell phones, your laptops, your remote workers, they would have a much better experience when that's available. I have a client who works from her home in a mountain community on the coastal mountains of California, and she doesn't have any broadband service available in her community. She's connecting from her laptop to the internet through her cell phone when she shares her internet connection on her cell phone to her computer. It's horribly slow because her cell phone is not even getting a very good connection. And she's working that way. She is handles sales and proposals for a construction company. It's just amazing that she's getting along with that. But if Starlink comes around, that's going to be a tremendous solution for her. Gary says, back up the changes. By the way, let me restate. What do we have now? 26 current viewers, 17 likes. Thank you, everybody, for that. In the description below this video is the Zoom credentials. If somebody would like to come on and for a brief amount of time, have a face-to-face conversation, or you don't have to turn your camera on if you don't want to. If you'd like to have a verbal conversation about something or along the lines that we're discussing here, particularly Windows 11 and TPM, I welcome you to do that. And what will happen is if you do that, we're all going to hear a doorbell ring. I don't have the waiting room enabled, so you're just going to come on. I'll have to push a button before you come up on the video, but you're welcome to do that. I don't know how that's going to go over, but I thought I'd try that today. Gary says, back up the changes that we make to vertical market software. So I think he's responding to my previous reading about the backup. So I think he gets notifications about the backups, back up the changes that we make to vertical market software. Is that the one I already read? I'm not sure. And I'm sorry, Gary, if I'm being a little dense there. Chris, I have seen some farmers have older combiners. I've seen some farmers have older combines that are not computer controlled. I could well imagine that some farmers want to keep their old combines working because they don't want to get into that fancy computer controlled stuff. That makes a whole lot of sense. And I think that these computer-controlled combines actually can run without a person in the cab. I don't know if they're actually doing that, but I think they do. There's a lot of video channels, and I enjoy watching these, of children operating combines in the fields, doing this farm work. I was addicted to those for a while. Amazing. And they had some level of GPS controls to tell them how to go. I'm not sure how much computer controlled they were, but they were in the cab. Gary, I had a race last month in Germany with a 72 Pantera. Was going Le Mans Classic this weekend, but they postponed it. In August, I take my Mustang to Laguna Seca. Oh, wow. Gary, I like you more and more all the time. I had a race last month in Germany with 72 Pantera. Oh. Here's a link from Wintermute for Louis Rossman's channel. So he used to really do a whole lot of repair videos, and he's gotten A lot more commonly, he'll just be talking head, talking to the camera, sometimes rants, entertaining to be sure, but if you're interested in him doing the live repairs, you might be having to look to his older videos. I think he still does some of those. I think he got somewhat bored with doing those. But you'll also be able to check in with how he's doing on the right to repair, because he puts up videos on that. Andrew Default. Hello, Andrew. If I'm not able to lift heavy hardware, can I still be a managed service provider? Are you gonna start competing with Blackwatch on the humor? If I'm not able to lift heavy hardware, can I still be a managed service provider? Well, yes. Managed service provider does not have to do heavy lifting. I'm thinking that's a joke, but maybe not. And Wintermute's giving us the link for iPad Rehab. Thank you again. That's Jessa Jones. And she does classes. You can go into her shop and spend a week with her. She will teach you how to repair iPhones and iPads and Android. And you drop a cell phone in water. How do you fix that? They're very fixable. I came across somebody I know, a client of mine said that he had dropped his iPad in water and he wanted to buy a new one. I was tempted to tell him it can be repaired. I'm not really good enough at that to offer to do it myself, and he has plenty of money to do this. So, but yeah, you drop devices in water, they're very repairable. Don't put them in rice. Don't turn them on. They'll probably shut themselves down when they detect that they're in water. Don't turn them on. Get them to a competent repair facility. It can be fixed. Chris, yes, I meant as long as it has UEFI that can release software firmware. I meant my HP Elite 8300 from 2012 got secure boot with a BIOS update. Okay, got it. Blackwatch. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so my cruise line company is based on the moon. So I do need Starlink to operate it, right? To Wintermute. Yeah, I think so. I've heard about those companies, cruise line companies based on the moon. Certainly you're going to need Starlink or a competitor. And Blackwatch, I think you could compete with Elon Musk. You should put up your own satellite system. How about a Kickstarter program for it? William Dawson, your comment on the camera replace you want to do. William, your comment on the camera replace you want to do. Your comment on the camera. Am I doing something wrong? Your comment on the camera replace you want. I'm sorry, don't get it. Wintermute to Blackwatch, sorry, Earthlings only. Gary, your car is programmed in Microsoft Visual Studio 2019 C++. That's probably accurate. I absolutely, I think Gary probably knows what he's talking about there. Z Manor, add 2 more. Paul Daniels and Electronics Repair School with Soren. Paul. Oh yes, Paul Daniels. Yes, I have watched Paul Daniels. And Electronics Repair School, I think is that, Paul Daniels, I think is the name of his channel, and I think Electronics Repair School is another one operated by a guy by the name of Soren. Yes, I believe I watched both of those. And Zvi Manor, I'm going to make you a moderator so that you can post links for that, assuming that you would like to. I did have one person refused to be a moderator. I never understood why that was. So I hope you don't mind being a moderator. You're certainly regular here. So if you'd like to post links for that, please do. Those are great channels. Gary Wiesenberger, no, I work in manufacturing company. My wife works at home. Got it. That's what the home business is. The home business is your wife's job. Blackwatch, you know I am on Earth. I am spaced cadet. LOL. To Wintermute, a cadet in Musk's Air Force. Ryan is Rain One Full. Good to see you, Ryan. Good day to you. Hellos from Catherine. Gary, I have entities in 40 states and 38 countries within the company that you work for in the manufacturing company. So when you're talking to us about these big numbers, you're talking about 40 states and 38 countries. That's just awesome. Ryan to Catherine, chit chat, Blackwatch, Doug, my web is not dark nor black, as I said. I don't wear hats. Get it now. And that's in reference to what he said earlier. I'm sure if I went back and reminded myself what it was he said back then, it would make sense. Catherine, I am stressed because of my visa. Well, sorry to hear that, Catherine. I'm going to assume you're not referring to your Visa credit card, but rather your visa having to do with immigration status. If I remember correctly, I believe you're not living in your country of your native country that you're a citizen of. And I think I remember you talking about your visa on your channel and that there were some issues with it. So I hope you get that resolved, all right. Gary says they got car info off of the DMV in MI, Missouri, Michigan, Minnesota. I have a hard time with the MI names. Chris to Gary, I think mine was made in Michigan. Gary to Chris, where was it registered? Dan the man, OnStar is from General Motors, uses cell towers and satellite for GPS. That makes sense. So we're confirming they use both. So I suppose I might mention at this point, 25 years at the beginning, I kind of did what you might call a monologue about where I stand right now with Windows 11 and TPM. And I have 4 videos that are recorded this morning. They're not published yet. I'll go ahead and publish them. I'm kind of nervous about them, honestly, because I guess I'm kind of taking a stand about what I think the truth of the motivation behind TPM is. And basically, I support it, and I think TPM is probably a substantial solution, if not the solution. I think it's probably not going to be the solution because all security implementations are layered, but I think it's going to be a substantial improvement in the fight against ransomware and hackers. Okay, Blackwatch. Not hard at all. One-line code will destroy your NTFS. Just look at the code. No need to execute it. Wow, this is, boy, you know what? I really enjoy it when you give us a real straight. I think you have substantial knowledge and technical awareness and competence. I love it when you make a sincere statement. Not hard at all. A one-line code will destroy your NTFS. Just look at the code. No need. Okay, well, that's humor. Just look at the code. No need to execute it. There's the humor. That's like saying I gain weight just by looking at food. That's what he's saying there. Just look at the code. That's enough to destroy your NTFS. Okay, that's humor. That's a joke. That's not serious technical. Chris to Gary in Georgia. Gary, a lot of the SQL servers are run on Linux servers. I think that's likely true. I don't know that environment that well. I have some SQL servers among my clients' offices. It's very unsophisticated, minor implementations, and they're all Windows servers. Catherine Anna Hausman says, please all like the stream. Where are we at right now with that? We have 27 viewers now. We have 18 likes, and I don't get to see right there if we have any dislikes. I think in yesterday's video, somebody said we did get a dislike. And I'm opening it up on another computer here, and no, there aren't any dislikes, so that's kind of good. And like I said before, I don't mind people clicking dislike when they want to. It could either mean that they're just being a jerk, just being a random hater, just being mean, they don't like the color of my hair or whatever, or they don't like something that I said in the video, or they don't like the type of the video, whatever it is. If somebody clicks dislike, it doesn't trouble me. I'm not asking you to do it. But as far as YouTube goes, I don't think it really harms the channel. But likes are much better. More important for my channel. If you want to know what's important to my channel. All right, let's have a heart-to-heart here. What's important to my channel is not even more subscribers, but kind of sort of. What's important to my channel is viewers, people watching the videos and it having meaning to them. Subscribing, yes, is important, particularly when I get to that 1,000 subscribers mark. That's important. But a significant way for my channel to grow, I think, is for other content creators such as Kerry Holzman. Thank you again, Kerry, because he mentioned me on his channel, and a lot of the viewers that are here now came from his channel and watch both, and of course other channels. But I'd really like to get some other collaborations with other tech channel YouTubers to be able to attract audiences from other places, because I'm really putting my heart into this and I want to be putting out useful, helpful information. So if you are involved with other channels and you can put out suggestions in their chats or suggest that those content creators do a collaboration with me, man, I would just love that so much. And then also we have, I think it was BH Ringer, I hope I'm recalling that it was BH Ringer, is a moderator on a Microsoft forum. Boy, I would love to get involved with collaborations with some of those web-based forums where they are giving of their time to help people with computer problems. It just seems to me it would be so helpful to those volunteers on those forums to be able to see the problem in a video. Get the people that are asking for help on those websites, suggest that they contact me so that I can put their symptom on video, and maybe even the volunteer from the web-based help system would like to come in on Zoom, or maybe Zoom without their camera so that they can be in verbal communication with the person needing the help. So that helps give your website exposure and helps give my channel exposure. That would just be an awesome experience. So that's the area where really I think is going to be an impact for growth on my channel. So that's what I'd like to see happen. Gary to Chris, then they bought from your DMV. I'm thinking that they bought the information from your DMV. Because you can actually get an account with DMV. If you're a dealer, you can download information from DMV to be able to find out who owns what cars. Chris, not sure what the service is called for Nissan, but my mother's has it. It is like OnStar. The button has SOS, I think. I think even if you don't subscribe to those systems on your car, you can still contact emergency services. Gary to Catherine, hi, and it is up to 18 for the likes. I turn around now and I see 21. So that recent request worked. Ryan says he's still at work. Chris to Gary, it should be illegal for DMV to sell your info. You know what? I think they even provide your information without selling it. You can just register with DMV because it is public records. So I think it'd be hard pressed to make it illegal. Is it public records? That's kind of weird. There's some level of I'm not sure. I better say I don't know what I'm talking about there. I'm not very confident about it. But if you're a dealer, you're able to run a license plate and find out who owns it because you're trying to buy a vehicle. You need to be able to check to make sure who owns it. William Dawson. I have to remind myself to relax once in a while. My neck gets tense. William Dawson, with Starlink, the view of the sky is very important. Absolutely. So that's why I think those services typically will have both cell tower and satellite contact available. Gary to Chris says he agrees. Blackwatch, here we go. Bad kitty, I will tell your boss. Just kidding, LOL. To Ryan, good to see you again. For all of Blackwatch's humor, I will assert, I believe, and I hold Blackwatch to be a good guy. Gary to Chris, I was being smart and I had the car registered at a home business. They get call all day. Oh, okay. So Gary's wife has the home business. I was being smart and I had the car registered at a home business. They get calls all day. So that kind of, that's kind of informational, isn't it? So he registered a car to his home business and presumably gave the business phone line for the home business for that car's registration. So those phone calls come in to the home business phone line. Gary says farm equipment is run on Windows 10. That total makes sense. And I'm guessing embedded, Windows 10 embedded, because there's a whole lot of different Windows, we think of Windows 10 Home and Windows 10 Pro. Maybe you're aware of Windows 10 Enterprise. Maybe you're aware of Windows 10 Education. There's a bunch more edition of Windows 10. Embedded, I'm not sure if that's the name that they use for it. So that means in devices, Internet of Things devices, refrigerator, toaster, anything that has connectivity to the internet could be using a Windows 10 embedded operating system. But a lot of those IoT devices never get updates. And that is a really, really risky thing. Let's see, Security Now. Steve Gibson. He reports on this a lot. Internet of Things, all these various devices. And he has smart devices in his home. Internet of Things. And he knows they do not get automatic updates. A lot of our consumer level routers do not get updated and they are vulnerable. One of the collaborations I'd really love to do, this would be so much fun, is Network Chuck. Network Chuck. I'm sure I'm saying the name of his channel right. Awesome guy. I love his channel. I would so love to do a collaboration with him where I invite him, authorize him to try to hack into my computers and do that during live streams. That would be awesome. But I was getting it to Steve Gibson on Security Now. He talks about these embedded Windows 10, Internet of Things, not getting updates, our routers not getting updates, and how vulnerable we are if a skilled hacker were to target me. I think I'm vulnerable, and that's what I'd like to do. Why I'd like to do a collaboration with Network Chuck so that we can show me getting my systems more secure in a way that teaches you how to secure your systems better. So if you, if you want to put out messages on Network Chuck saying, hey, do a collaboration with LiveWindowsTraining-DougBetts, that would kind of warm him up when I send out a message to him. Maybe that'll say, oh, hey, I've had a few requests for this. What is this about? Because I'm a teeny tiny channel compared to his. His is a huge channel. Oh my gosh, what would a collaboration with him do for my channel? Good gollies. Chris says, good grief, I would not combine my corn with a driverless. Now I think Chris might be involved with farming, so maybe he knows that driverless isn't actually a thing. It might not be a thing. I don't know. Catherine, Lewis will do classes again too. Yeah, he was doing classes for a while. And when he got so devoted into doing right to repair, he got distracted from doing that. I haven't checked in with him late for a while, so I don't know. Andrew Default says he has cerebral palsy. I don't know if that's in reference to something that was said earlier, or maybe I couldn't make out what you're saying, and you're giving us this by explanation. I would totally help or aid if you are willing or able to come into a Zoom session. I promise you, I would be very patient in any way that I can in any way I can aid or provide service for you. It'd be great. Totally thrilled that you're here and joining in with us. Sam Lazar, what should I do if my computer has not an 8th generation Intel CPU or older? Same with my clients. Okay, good question. Love you giving this question. Let's come back here and have a chat, shall we? What should I do if my computer is not an 8th gen? So your CPU is older than the list that Microsoft has given for this. And you have clients with that. So do I. It's going to be more than 4 years before Windows 10 is no longer supported. Microsoft has promised they're going to go till at least until October 2025. They might go longer. That's up to them. What I've resolved in my mind is all of my clients that have older CPUs than that, by the time we add 4 more years, that means they're going to have computers that are 8, 10 years old. I'm just going to tell them, hey, we got to get a new computer. Tough. Deal with it. It's time. What should you do if your computer isn't going to be able to do Windows 11? You're going to get a new computer. Part of me says I wish I had an easier answer. Part of me says no, I don't. This step, going from Windows 10 to Windows 11, appears to me to be a point in time that Microsoft and hardware manufacturers and other software entities, internet powers that be, have decided we have to toughen up the environment as a fight against ransomware. And I think a fight against terrorists, which haven't actually got involved with encrypting computers yet. But I think they will. I think this is on their radar. And when you see my other videos that I recorded this morning, I'll publish them. I don't know, it might be today, it might be tomorrow, it might be over the weekend. I'm nervous about publishing those. So for those of you who want to help with that, help get it some views, help get it some likes. I'm hoping you're not going to hate them. There's just no other thing. You're just going to have to replace the computer and step up. I don't think this is going to be a regular thing. I think once you step up to a current market computer, now by that time you'll be able to buy refurbished computers. You'll be able to buy used computers that qualify for Windows 11. You'll be able to buy a used computer, a refurbished computer that might currently have Windows 10, and you can upgrade it to Windows 11 because it's qualified. So it's not necessary that you have to buy a new computer. If you're on a budget, and I buy refurbished computers and even used computers for my clients all the time. I find them work really well. I don't care that they don't have a manufacturer warranty, because even if we buy a new computer and it has a manufacturer's warranty, if something goes wrong and it's covered under warranty, I typically don't claim it under warranty anyway. I just fix the computer and get it back up and running in the shortest amount of time. That's what my clients care about. Having a power supply shipped out and I replace it, or even if they send a technician out to replace a power supply or a motherboard, no, I just get the part and replace it. Even if I pay for the part. I don't care about warranties on new computers. So that means saving money by getting refurbished computers or even used computers, because the used computers and refurbished computers, they are completely capable for the office environment. One person sitting next to another, new computer, used computer, 8 years difference. They don't experience any difference in performance. That's not always true, but they don't complain about it. So getting back to your question, what you do is let a couple years go by, let a few years go by, and then buy a used computer, refurbished computer at a very affordable price that has Windows 11. Same thing with your clients. That's my answer. Coming back over here. Gary, wrong satellite orbit, Earth only. I don't know. Maybe that has to do with Blackwatch's moon operation. Blackwatch, I put a link to a picture of me and David Hale. Oops, that one of Trump and Nixon. Gary says, yes, on the car programming, I might. Wink, wink. Yes, on the car programming. Yeah, sometimes I miss out because I've forgotten what this is in response to. Ryan, laughing at Blackwatch's comment. Zvi Manor gives us a link to Paul Daniels. So that's another channel being recommended by myself and Zvi Manor, probably other people that are in chat right now. Chris says, I just found pop-out chat option. I've seen it before and forgot about it. Not only pop-out chat option, but I like to turn on timestamps over here. So every one of you that have timestamps turned on, you should be seeing the same minute showing for people's comments. You might have a different hour because you're somewhere else in the world. Unless you're in one of those time zones that is offset by 30 minutes. There are some time zones in the world that are offset by 30 minutes. When we're at the top of the hour, they're at the bottom of the hour. A globe of all the time zones, the way they're drawn, they're just some funny things happen. And then I'm also zoomed in. By holding down the control button, using my scroll wheel, I zoomed in, so it's a little larger on my screen. Gary says, that is 20 years of school speaking. Yeah, again, I'm missing what that is in response to. Catherine, yes, immigration visa she's talking about. Boy, I must be behind on chat. See this down arrow right here. If I click on this down arrow, that's going to take me right down to the live chat, and then the screen's going to start scrolling, and I'm not going to be able to read it. And then as soon as you pull up on the scroll bar, it'll freeze the chat wherever it's at. The chat messages will keep coming in down below, but it's not going to jump around on you if you're trying to read them. Chris says, now I can put chat on the other monitor. Yeah, that's useful. Zvi Manor for Electronics Repair School. There's the link for that. Sane Goat. Hi, Sane Goat. Just stroll across our border and tell them DougBetts is your family. Okay, Sane Goat to Catherine, saying just stroll across our border and tell them DougBetts is your family to get you across the border. Well, I don't think Catherine wants to leave where she's at. I think she likes where she's living. And by the way, okay, let's go look at that. I said this earlier. Let's see, we got 29 viewers. So here's the thing. You know that when I do live streams, I've been doing this Google Earth thing that shows where I'm located and where the person that I'm working with is located. So today, at the beginning, I did something different. So those of you who didn't get into the video stream before I actually went live, which would have been, wait a minute, that was at 1 o'clock. It's 3:10 right now. Are you kidding me? I've been going for 2 hours and 13 minutes. I have been thinking all along that I could never talk as long as Carrie Holzman talks. And here I'm doing it. Oh boy. I'm not sure what to make of that. I'm kind of shook. But anyway, what I would like to do, I think this might become a thing, or these tech chats, where it's just me in the chat room with the Zoom session on. If people come into Zoom, great. If they don't come into Zoom, that's fine too. To talk about topics that need to be done this way. Because in my recent live streams, you've been wanting to talk about Windows 11 and TPM. So this live stream is just about that. So what do I do for the few minutes before I actually go live? So what I've been scheduling these live streams to go live at the top of the hour, always top of the hour. That way these timestamps in chat are always reflecting the time that it's been. So this is saying 2:47 p.m. So that happened when we were an hour and 47 into the video. Wow, I'm looking at chat half an hour ago. Oh, I'm behind. Oh my gosh, I'm behind. I'm going to have to catch up here. But I want to show you this Google Earth, because what I'd like to do, what I'd really like to do, and you guys need to be ready to type this into chat so it can be in a short area. I'm going to ask you in a moment, if you want to be part of this, in chat, type your location, wherever you are in the world. So city, state, country, whatever's appropriate for you to type. If you want me to include your real name, then put in your real first name or real first and last name if you want to. If your channel name, if your name in the chat isn't your actual name. If you want to just use your what do we call it? Your channel name, like Sane Goat, I don't think that's his real name. Most of these are real names in here now. Rain One Full, I know that's a channel name. His name is Ryan. If you want to just use your channel name, then just put your location. What I'd like to do for these types of live streams is I'd like to include this, what I'm about to show you. This is still running. So the countdown is done. This is what I display for the few minutes before I actually bring myself on camera. And what this is doing is it's showing the names of the people who have already allowed themselves to be located or exposed on my channel. What I'd like to do is fill in some more and have some more people in here with their name or their channel name and their location. So this shows where in the world all these people that are involved in the chat room and active in here are coming from. I just think that'd be a fun thing to have. And if I've got you on the screen now and you don't want to be there, maybe you don't want to put that into chat, maybe you could send me an email saying, please take me off of that pre-show Google Earth. Send that by email to DougBetts@LiveWindowsTraining.com. So go ahead and put your information into chat. I'm not on that screen right now. I mean, I'm not going to see it for a while to see how many of you even responded to that. But if you'd like me to include you, please put that into chat now so that those are all contained within a certain area of chat so I could easily get them. It's really easy to put you on that Google Earth. It's not a big deal at all. In fact, I just did that during the 10-15 minutes prior to going live. I did not have that set up early. Stroll across. Okay, Blackwatch. Really, then why do you always misspell school? To Gary. Z Manor, Lewis Rossman, fundraiser. Let's get right to repair past. I think I already contributed to that, but I'll go check on it. I should be contributing to that if I haven't already. Gary, to me, I think what you have said about Windows 11 TPM sounds like if I had the version, they might match. Wink. Try that again. I think what you have said about Windows 11 and TPM sounds like if I had the version, they might match. Wink. If I had the vision, they might match. I think I'm being dense again. Maybe I'm just being tired. Darren, 0. Okay, Gary to Blackwatch. That is true. When I went through school for 3 years and wrote papers every day, I misspelled my name. And at work, I typed 10 times and email once. You know what I do? I type out emails and I go, I do proofreading, I do correction, I do editing. it's a nightmare. More jokes about the spelling of school. Catherine, laughing to sane goat, I roll. I think that had to do with saying she's related to me at the border. Sam Lazar, what should I do if my client's or computer is not supported with Windows 11? My client's computer is not supported with Windows 11. Okay, I think you're new. Sam, I don't remember your name before, but I have said that a couple times. You know what? I think I have said that since you typed that in chat. So I'm going to skip over that for now and assume that you have heard me say that. I'm going to try to get caught up here. Yes, you can hit it by mistake. Sango, anyone hear how Ken Stout did with the new machine? Yes. Yes. He sent me photos. He is working on the new build. You know, some of you know that I have this set up that I can display my cell phone on screen. Take me a few clicks to get there, but then it doesn't show pictures very well. I'll just show this one by holding it up to the camera. And let's see, that way goes best. So here is his motherboard assembled. He sent me a question by text earlier asking about, let's see. Quick question. I've researched and found nothing. Can I install the cooler brackets before I put the processor in? He sent that at 10:11 this morning, and I didn't see it until 11 a.m. So actually, I didn't see it till 10 minutes after, so an hour after. And at that point, he showed me that he's got the processor and the cooler already mounted. So I realized it was too late for me to give him an answer to that. Gary, in Michigan, Doug can call the DMV and set up an account, then download the whole database. I think that's probably true. Bertlin Hope. Hi, Bertlin. Good to see you. Chris, somehow a scammer knew I had a Dell laptop. They even knew the service tag, and they knew the issues I called Dell about. Wow. Just wow. Implying somehow the dark web got information from Dell servicing centers. You know, there are people working from home, right? You call for Dell support, you might be getting somebody in their home. Could that computer be compromised? Absolutely. Bertlin saying hi to me. Thank you. Good to see you. Ryan says it's Canada Day today. And Jim's to Sango, he's still working on it. I've been in email contact with him today. My impression, he's overthinking it. Okay, fair point. But it is, I think it's his first build. That's fine. Let him overthink it. Blackwatch C. Doug mentions my name in his stream hiccups. That's my black magic. So you're telling me the stream hiccuped. So how has the stream been? I'm seeing over here, it says excellent connection. And I look at stream health. It says stream healthy. At 309, there was a warning. The stream's bit rate is lower than the recommended bit rate. Error. YouTube not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. So those were happening at 3:08 p.m. So I'm going to leave this comment at 2:58 highlighted. I'm going to scroll down to 3:08 and see if people was saying things about glitches. Okay, I'm seeing people putting in their locations. Jim, you're an amateur. Carrie's minimum live stream is 3 hours. I've seen him at 9 hours. I've seen him at 9 hours. Oh, you know what? The 9-hour stream, I don't think he left it as, I don't think he made it public. I think it was, I think it was a private or not unpublished. So I don't think you can go back and find it. I don't know why. There was a period of time where he was doing some live streams really long and not publishing them. He was having some problem with YouTube at that point in time, I think. So I didn't notice some things about troubles. I'm down at the bottom right now. It was glitching. 2016 Dell info. Hello, sir. How are you? Okay, so yeah. So whatever that glitching was, it looks like we're back okay because it's saying that it's healthy. Scrolling back up to that 259, I'm going to try to catch up with this. Sincerely, I'd like to be more current with you. Hellos, did you miss my intro comment? Chit chat. I'm going to start using the term chit chat when I realize people are talking back and forth to each other. Chit chat. Routers get updated free, but I wish we could get them cheaper free. Okay, well, Gary's got the corporate. So their routers are getting updated free. Our home routers, not so much. And they need to be updated if you want to be protected. Chit chat, chit chat. Found a new farm market, bunch of food. Finished work, shutting down my computer. Finished work, so I was shutting down my computer. That's chit chat. And green bananas, that's chit chat. Hello, that's chit chat. RF tags and chit chat. Chit chat. Lots of people may try to run Windows 10 after 2025. Yeah, well, there are people still running Windows 7, Windows XP. I have mentioned a couple of times during this video, Steve Gibson, Security Now. I want to call it security guru. Yes. There are others who know security better than him, but not that are weekly publishing on YouTube. He does seriously good digging into the details of things. Now, this information that I'm giving you today, I'm not replicating what he's said. He's not been talking along these lines about the value of TPM towards ransomware. I don't think so. But the reason why I'm mentioning him, his main computer is Windows 7. He's monster educated about security, but he's using a Windows 7 computer. He's also using Windows 10 computers. And he was a holdout against Windows 10 for a long time. So, yeah, people will continue running Windows 10. It'll reach end of support and it will just keep functioning. That is the history. Every previous version of Windows, they'll still work. They still run today. They just aren't secure. And you better... some of the computers where ransomware is infecting institutions, they're getting in from older operating systems that the IT staff just has it there for some minor purpose, and they don't realize that the ransomware people can get into the system from there and then move laterally through the network. So it is, even if it's on a computer that has limited purpose, if it's connected to the internet and it's connected to your network, it's a high risk. 39-mile-an-hour winds for Bertland. People still running Windows 7, Windows XP. A month after 11, you can get refurbished Windows. Yeah, it won't take long for refurbished PCs with Windows 11, because the computers that are 2 years old, they are completely capable for Windows 11. If they have, TPM and a processor, they can easily have Windows 11. So you can buy used computers, refurbished computers, probably in this January, and upgrade them to Windows 11 if they haven't already been upgraded by the vendor. You're not going to have to buy brand new computers. Ryan, they say Interaction Client will only run on Windows 7. My work still uses Windows 7. Entirely can believe that. I've seen some instances where that happens, and you can take other measures. Hardware firewall. I'm trying to remember the name of that really common hardware firewall. But you can implement other forms of security if you're having to use old operating systems. My laptop, Gen 7, Melbourne, Australia. From Sam. My laptop has 7th generation i7, live in Melbourne. So I think you're behind on Windows 10. Bertland, you're going to make me blush. I'm not going to read that. Chris, look on eBay. You can already get Windows 11 desktop. I would not trust it because it's the dev leaked build. Yeah, I wouldn't want to buy a computer that has the dev leaked build, because what do you have to do to get from the dev leaked build to the legitimate build? I think you'd probably wipe and reload. Gary, to me, I'd like to keep user computers at the same model when being updated. It makes the user feel we are a viable firm. Yeah, I can see that. In my clients, I'm not going to be worried about that, because I've been through operating system upgrades. They don't know it. They don't realize it. They don't care. They were Windows 7 sitting next to Windows 10. I could ask either person, what version of Windows are you on? They don't even understand what a Windows version number is. They walk into work one day. I call them on the phone and say, hey, I noticed your computer got upgraded to Windows 10 overnight. And they say, really? I didn't notice. Why do I care? What's the difference? Now, Windows 10 is going to be more obvious. And I was at first thinking there was going to be envy thing and status thing, where some of the computers in the office have Windows 10 and some don't. And some people will think somebody else is being favored over me because they got the Windows 10 computer and I don't. There might be some jealousy stuff going on. The only way that I could solve that is to go through and put all new computers in. The bosses at my clients aren't going to want to do that. I really don't think it's going to be a problem. Another possible solution is, we can adjust settings on Windows 10 Windows 11 to make it look like Windows 10, so that the taskbar is back over on the left, and so that the screen doesn't look quite so pretty, so they won't notice that. I don't know. I'm not doing a good job at catching up. OML, I was not asking for a weather report. I was just rattling your cage. Oh, that's from Blackwatch. Chit Chat. You can add chat as an OBS browser source and apply custom CSS. I don't care to do that. Neat stuff. LOL. Probably laughing at my refusal to read his comment earlier. Okay, so here we got some locations. We have ahead of you. Oh, Viv. Hi, Viv. I don't think I've seen you in live chat for a while. Good to see you. And yeah, some locations. Awesome. Locations. Awesome. So this is permissions to include you guys. And Tony Walla, wonderful. Jim, to me, you're an amateur. Oh yeah, I read that already. Ryan's location. Awesome. Winter. Oh, I love this. Thank you, everybody. Ada, Darren. Awesome. Awesome. Jeff. William. Locations. Great. Is fine. Catherine was probably responding to something I said, and it's been too long for me to know specifically what that was. So you hear my phone go off a lot. That was an alert from my bank saying somebody logged into my bank account. First time that happened, oh, that was a nightmare. It's my computer. It's QuickBooks Online on my computer. Logs into my bank account once in a while and updates transactions. My bank almost closed my account because I told them I got this alert. It took a few days for their tech support to discover, hey, it's probably your computer. Chris's location, awesome. Dude Carey set the work record for over 8 hours, remember. Oh yeah, I saw him over 8 hours. I want to say it was 9. You can use my name, Ryan. Thank you. Awesome. Sam says hello. Sane Goat gives his location. Oh, this is terrific, people. I'm so happy. Whoops, I went too far. No, I accidentally slipped too far. Did I? That's 320. It's 321. Yeah, there's the 8 hours. Okay. I recently copped to doing a 10-hour stream. So he admitted to doing a 10-hour stream. And he stands there. I'm sitting in the chair. You know, you've heard me complain about how my ears hurt because of these things. I don't have to use these things if nobody's on Zoom. You know, I didn't think about that. If somebody comes in Zoom, I'm going to have to remember to put the earpieces in. Which I'm totally happy to do if somebody wants to come in on Zoom. Although I'm not going to get caught up with chat if you do that. Locations, 10 hours. Guys, I'm going to be honest, I did not do much work on grants this week. Was working on my CV, saw a job opening, I went to shoot my shot. I was working on my CV, saw a job opening, I want to shoot my shot. Yeah, Bertlin, I'm going to be honest. I don't know what that means. CV. Blackwatch, good day, people. Space station, no gravity. Travel area code. CV 12 pages long, though. I recognize the abbreviation CV. Is that some kind of a resume? 90 Rocker. Oh, that's a new name, I think. I think you're new in chat. Welcome. Glad to see you. 29 concurrent viewers, 22 likes. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And I'm good. I think I'm probably going to need to call this a wrap. I'd like to try to catch up with chat and then call it a wrap. And I'll review again for you that I'm probably going to publish these 4 videos that I made this morning, recorded this morning. They range from 5 minutes to, I think the longest, 14 minutes, about Windows 11 and TPM. And the same basic things that I've said at the beginning of this video, if you were with me at the beginning. Ryan, currently working from home, couldn't sleep to turn on my laptop, working at 4 a.m. Oh, wow. Chris says that was 2016 when the scammer knew about my Dell info. It could have been an employee that got hold of info. Yeah. Gary says, Doug, Windows 11 and what you have said is If I had a current version of Windows 11, it would be very accurate. Wink. It is like you have read Microsoft's playbook. I'm kind of hoping, I know he's insider program with lots and lots of computers, and I'm imagining that he's probably even conversational with Microsoft. Windows 11 and what you have said is, if I had a current version of Windows 11, it would be very accurate. Wink. It is like you have read Microsoft's playbook. I think, and I hope he's saying that what I'm reading into this about that Microsoft's playbook for doing Windows 10 to Windows 11, really the reason why they've got the new name is so that they could enforce this TPM, and the reason behind it is to provide security to the world. Glitching, I just never mentioned it. Jeff to Bertlin, I don't know about your profession, engineering room. Anything more than 2 or 3 pages for CV won't get past HR. So yeah, CV has to do with your work history or experience history, I guess. You can tell I haven't applied for a job in a long time. I got my first computer job in 1976. I have never been out of work and never sent out a resume. Wow, awesome. 1976 is when I graduated from high school. So that gives a comparison between you and me, Gary. William says YouTube will be YouTube. It's a director role, so I added in a few of my projects. So I get it. You kind of put your business on the back burner because you've got an opportunity. Hey, go for it, man. Go for it. Gary Weisenberger's asking about SpinRite. Well, SpinRite is Steve Gibson's software. I own it. I bought it, I don't know what year, long time ago. I haven't used it recently. I love the work that he's doing with making SpinRite workable for SSDs. I'm totally impressed and amazed with what he has learned about SSDs. I don't know what specifically you're referring to in mentioning SpinRite. Let's see. Bertlin's giving us a link. Education. It's an education. Bertlin works currently for government. And I don't know, maybe you're referring to your new job opportunity. Gary to Bertlin, hope you farm. I don't know what that's about. I'm going to say that's Chit Chat is from Blackwatch, so I'm not going to try to understand what it is because sometimes it's hard for me to grasp. My dream to retire to a plot, ride my tractor. Chit Chat, PF Sense. PF Sense is I know I can't describe it right off the bat. I think it's a firewall, and it's not the one that I was trying to think of. The ones it's just on the tip of my tongue. Oh, what is it? It's gone. They get in on unprotected computers on the factory floor, CNC barcode readers. Yeah, those are important computers. People don't think they are. Good choice. You can scale it. I think that's referring to PF Sense. Untangle. That's the hardware firewall I was trying to think of. Untangle. Just because it pops up so much in the videos that I watch from other channels. Indian firewall, Palo Alto, Fortinet firewall. He's trying to give some other names to help me with that. I think Sam has the leaked build. I just signed up for Insider and it just updated just fine. Okay, so you had the leaked developers build. You signed up for Insider and it updated from the leaked developers build to the current Insider's Windows 11 build? Did you? Because not everybody's in the Insider programs automatically going to get Windows 11. That's from this other document over here, and you'll have to go back earlier in the video if you want to see that. That was over here, where it had all the information, these 3 columns and rows about dev channel, beta channel, release channel, who's going to get what, and even for the most eligible requirement is the dev channel with hardware requirements met. You're eligible. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get it right away. And it may be not even ever, because they're probably going to want to have some people in the dev channel that stay with Windows 10 so that as the updates come through for Windows 10 and Windows 11, they can see in the Insiders program on the dev channel the difference between how those updates affect a Windows 10 and how it affects Windows 11. I think the Insiders program is going to need to keep some computers on Windows 10 in the Insiders program, even when they're capable of Windows 11. And Microsoft's going to decide who gets it. You don't get to choose. I don't think. Dell will be coming out with their Windows 11 for September 2021. Okay, there we go. Chit chat. What I meant, different model or model this laptop? Gary, what I meant is you having a different model or this model laptop, and I have an old laptop. Tony Wallow says, you're welcome. I'm figuring that's with giving us his location. Dan the Man, his location. I have in Kentucky cows with RF tags in their ear tags, sends data to a Windows 10 server. All data is saved on a SQL server, which my wife monitors. You know what? If that were coming from Blackwatch, I would think it would be a joke. Coming from Gary, I think that's straight up. I think absolutely RF tags in the ears of cows. I don't find that hard to buy at all. I love that. Keeping track of what's going on with the cows. They're moving around. They're not sleeping too long. They're active. They can tell that they're not sick. I think that makes a total sense. Let's see. Chit chat. CV is a resume. CV is French for resume. Okay, there we go. Resume. Curriculum vitae is resume. That's what CV stands for. Because Doug just wants to know these things. Totally the case. I can get through those quick. It was me, Doug. Can you break for a $100 bill? Oh, right. Blackwatch. Okay. Dan the Man, some chit chat. Oh, wait a minute, Gary. It is not Insider. It is Business Beta. Oh. Okay, so the version he's referring to, it's not from the Insider program. It's from Business Beta, which is a different level. So that's beta testing, the Business Edition, maybe even Enterprise Edition. CV's resume. Never saw that comment. Yes, we get passed to development managers. So Gary's saying, yes, we can get passed to development managers so they can have direct phone conversations with Microsoft. I appreciate the wisdom of older men. Gary, is that Steve Gibson? I know him. Yeah. Steve Gibson of Security Now and SpinRite. They do every Tuesday. I watch that show every Tuesday. I watch Windows Weekly I might watch them the day after, but I keep up with what's going on through those shows. I think it is highly important to keep up to date, and those shows have great up to date content. Doug is now suffering from chat overload. You must be recognizing it in my voice. I am fading, and I'm close to up to date with chat. So this is going to be over with soon. Firewall open source. I will not be saying I'm going to end soon and then keep going on. When I get to the end of this, it's over. William Dawson, remember until Microsoft releases finished version of Windows 11, every other version is beta. Beta or final version. Yeah, okay. And there can be changes. Wise man, Correct. Gary says correct, but a lot of testing has been going on over 6 months. Yeah, when you include the feature testing that they've been doing, there's some of the features coming out Windows 11 I think have been tested a lot longer than that even. Blackwatch, where's Ken Stout? Anyways, playing with his adult Legos. He clearly knew that I was going to be broadcasting. I think he's working on his computer. He might be watching and just not participating in chat. I don't think he showed up in chat yet. He is building his custom-built computer. He sent me pictures. I showed them during the chat earlier. Sam, correct Windows Dev leak build I had installed with hardware requirement installed. I updated to newest official build of Windows 11. I would have liked for you specifically to say you updated the newest official build. Because the newest official build, they have the newest official build of Windows 10 and they have the newest official build of Windows 11. Not everybody gets Windows 11. So I think because you had the Windows 11 Dev leaked build that your computer did update to the newest official Windows 11 build. Gary says, from our version of Windows 11 Beta, we will not be updated to final Windows 11. Interesting. From our version, Windows 11 Beta, we will not be updated to final Windows 11. That's interesting. Yeah, that chart I showed has some surprising things. And down I see here Sam has said newest official build Windows 11. So he did confirm that. Thank you. And please excuse me for being anal retentive on details. That is me. That's what, in my opinion, makes me good at computer stuff, is being anal retentive, confirming details. Inherited from grandma, cousin got insurance. Inherited farm from grandma. Cousin got the insurance. Gary got the farm. Gary, got it right about beta. Okay, thanks. Curriculum vitae. Curriculum vitae? Curriculum vitae. Vitae, it's Latin. Curriculum vitae. I think it's vitae. I hacked your bank account, Doug. Just kidding. Got change for one of your $100 bills. Did I do something with a $100 bill reason? Okay. Bank account typo. Oh, back account. Yeah. Chris Garrett, adult Lincoln logs. That's chit chat. Newest official build. Yeah. Sam Lazar. I only update to the next version of Windows 11. Cool. Gonna be happy to see your progress. And Sam, if you'd like to come on to a Zoom session, do a live stream with me to show what you're finding, I'd love to do that with you. I only update, and I can be flexible on days and times if that's an issue. The only thing that's really significant is that you have a reasonably quiet environment or maybe a headset microphone. I only update to the latest version of Windows when it's available in System Update. Chris, I always like Lincoln Logs better than Lego. Did I get caught up? Seriously? Am I caught up? Okay, I told you, when I get caught up, we're going to end this. Thank you for watching, everybody. Thank you for being here. You can send requests to me for live sessions where you come in on Zoom. We do a live stream session for whatever computer-related issue you'd like to do. If you'd like to do another live stream on a particular topic, you can send an email or include it as a comment on any of my videos. I read all the comments on the videos. I don't always type out a response. I always click the thumbs up and the heart on any comment, even the ones that criticize me, because they're all useful. And so that's it. I hope you have a great day. Catch you later. Goodbye.